We've talked a little bit about hackathons this morning, and they are great as a way of driving engagement, but pizza and beer only goes so far, especially crap, greasy pizza, which is often what you'll find at one of these events. So you need to think about, longer term, how you're going to be fostering the community, and it's not just through those types of things. I mentioned earlier on the uptime reports that Facebook offer. Developer support is as important as customer support. You'd want to have a response time when one of your retail customers had a complaint. You probably want to be thinking about the same thing with your developer platform if you're serious about engaging with this community. Zero, do something very interesting. So when you're building out your API, you need to think about client libraries. So people will want to integrate with it using the particular technology that they're building with. Zero is a .NET shop. They actually have other people that build client libraries around their API platform who are better at building, for example, the Ruby library. So I believe Nick, who founded Gelato, authored the Ruby client library for Zero. They didn't ask him to. They didn't incentivize him to, but when he did do it, they thanked him for it, and I'm not too sure of the details of what that thanking you entailed, but they reached out to the community and gave back for it. So I think rewarding those who are contributing and extending the community is really important. This is related to the prior point, but different. Investing in the ecosystem is really important. These are businesses. Businesses need to have an exit route. They won't be able to raise money if there's not a path to exit and a return for their investors. Twitter bought TweetDeck, which was a UK business a number of years ago, not for vast sums of money, as you often hear about in the tech press, but a good amount of money. Now, these types of success stories breed excitement and encourage more people to invest in time in building on your platform. So having that, whether it's you as the organization buying the businesses built on your platform or others, I think it's really important to foster and encourage the community. However, you have to do this carefully. DataSift, if no one's familiar with it, it's one of the most impressive platform businesses I've come across. They're based in Reading, on the campus for Reading University. Nick Halstead founded it a number of years ago. We were their first customer in the UK. They relicensed the Twitter Firehose, as well as augmenting it with Facebook feed and lots of other different things that you would want to use if you wanted to consume social data. Brilliant business. It's worth looking at in terms of how they engage with the community, how they thought about the importance of augmenting their API platform with other services, etc. Now, they were one of two businesses in the world that had access to the Twitter Firehose to relicense it. It was DataSift and GNIP. At DataSift's last funding round, they were valued at $500 million. And I think earlier this year, Twitter bought GNIP, which isn't a bad thing in of itself, but at the same time, they revoked access to DataSift's business. Now, Twitter have, along their way, with their very successful API platform, made lots of wrong steps from the developer community's perspective. So the fact that they offered it in the first place and the way that they did was brilliant. They owe a lot of their success to applications that were built on the Twitter API platform. It drove a lot of their growth. But then the moves they made about where they invested their own product development and how they bought companies on the platform sent really mixed signals to the rest of the community and pissed people off, to be honest. So yes, it's important to do this type of thing, but with care, because you really want this community to grow and mushroom. Kleiner Perkins, one of the best VCs in the world, a number of years ago launched a fund initially just focused on platform businesses, so businesses built on the Twitter platform, Facebook platform, etc. I know a lot of the banks are starting to think about VC funds. It might be worth thinking about how a certain amount of those funds were focused entirely on businesses built on your own platform. So again, these are businesses, they need capital to get going, they need route to market, they also need exits. So you need to think about all of these different components. This came to me the other day. So there's a bit of a thing with bug bounty programs at businesses. So you invite the developer community to come in and try and find security flaws in your platform, and you reward them for doing so. So it's a way of kind of crowdsourcing potential security issues. When thinking about how you're going to take and onboard businesses onto your API platform, you're going to have to think about security, it might be interesting that as a bank, you fund this type of activity to go across the applications before they're taken live. It's a way of having more minds attack the problem, and probably more creative minds in thinking about trying to expose the issues that might exist. Standing on the shoulders of giants. So I'm not going to talk about standards, but I'm just going to say a lot of great work has already been done. You shouldn't be building your own rate-limiting technology. You shouldn't be building your own auth technology. It exists. Use it. You'll save yourselves a hell of a lot of time. And the final point is about app stores. I think about app stores, but do so carefully. So I mentioned that FIS report earlier on, and in it, they found out through a survey that 65% of banks plan to create their own app store, which is great. But let's talk a little bit about Facebook and their app store. So years ago, there used to be an app store on the web version of Facebook. Since they've kind of deprecated it, doesn't really exist anymore. So this is a business that reaches 1 billion people, and they couldn't get the app store to work for them on the web. Their second evolution of helping distribute applications has turned into a phenomenal business revenue driver for them. There's an app install ad format they offer. So developers can pay for distribution on the Facebook app to have installs of their application. This is driving incredible revenue for them at the moment. But the interesting thing is they had that customer base going to facebook.com, and they couldn't get them to engage in the App Store. They've evolved it to this model now. They are talking about doing it again around the Messenger platform. So their journey is continuing to evolve. But there was a comment earlier on about banks having lost lots of customers. Yeah, so does Google, so does Android. But the Play Store is only really just getting going now. A friend of mine has a very successful suite of apps, makes millions on the iOS App Store, makes tens of thousands on the Google Play Store, and is paid by Windows to develop for their platform. So just because you have customers at a bank does not mean you have app customers. So I think how you think about app stores is really important. I've seen the stats. People aren't going to your websites as much. They're going to the mobile app much more. And they're probably not going to the area of their website where you might put an app store. I think this model is perhaps one that banks could explore. But I think it really needs careful consideration. So those are the 8 points. I'll share the presentation on SlideShare and ping it around on Twitter so you can grab hold of it. I'm going to finish with this from Nick, which I think is brilliant. It's not about build it and they will come. Yes, there's a fantastic, thriving fintech community that's desperate for the data, but it's not a case of launching an API and all of a sudden you're going to have this thriving community. It's going to take a lot of work. You have to continue to invest in it beyond technology. You have to think about marketing, monetization, support, and more. Final point, I'm hosting a roundtable dinner tonight, and I've got one space left. We've got a bunch of the speakers coming along, a fantastic menu, and we've got some other really interesting people that aren't here today coming along. So if you get me quickly after this, I'll take you out. And finally, we published a fantastic newsletter at Adaptive Lab called Wunderkammer. It comes out fortnightly. Loads of interesting fintech and other news. You can sign up here, and I can also give you a copy of the book if you come and grab me as well. So thank you very much.